Welcome aboard our broad beam cruiser, L'Haute Cuisine, at the Mill Hotel, and welcome to the ancient Roman city of Chester. As we cruise along the Shropshire Union Canal, we shall hear all about this picturesque historic city. Chester was founded nearly 2,000 years ago by the Romans, who established themselves here in a fortress called Diva, named after the River Dee. The site chosen by the Romans, which became the nucleus of the medieval and the modern city of Chester, enjoyed natural advantages. The city stands on a solid elevated sandstone outcrop, which would have offered commanding views across the River Dee, both at its lowest crossing and towards the estuary overlooking Wales. The port, situated just to the west of the fortress, became one of the busiest in Roman Britain. Approximately 5,000 soldiers, the 20th Legion, Valeria Victrix, were based in the stone fortress, and a large civilian settlement grew up outside the defences. The 24-hectare site was surrounded by stone defences in a rectangular or playing card shape, and on each of the four sides was a gateway giving access to the main streets. Three of these streets met at a central crossroads in front of the military headquarters, the Principia. Today, a stone pillar still marks this cross. At the base of the north and the east-facing city walls, Roman foundation stones can still be seen. None of the Roman gates survive, but the remains of one of the corner towers, the southeast angle tower, has been excavated and is on show today. Just outside the walls and across from the southeast angle tower, the Romans built an amphitheatre. It was discovered by accident during building work in 1929. Between 1957 and 1972, approximately one-third of the amphitheatre was excavated and displayed. More recent excavations confirm that this is the largest stone amphitheatre in Britain. It would have held 7,000 people, who would have watched beast fights, gladiator fights, and military displays. On the north side of the arena was a small room, which contained an altar dedicated to the Greek goddess Nemesis, the god of retribution. This confirms that bloodthirsty spectacles would have been staged in the amphitheatre. The present-day Bridge Street frontage is largely built on the external wall of the Roman baths and exercise area. The rooms and water were heated by an underfloor furnace, a hypocaust, which circulated hot air under the floors. There is a reconstructed hypocaust in the Roman gardens. Little remains of Chester's Norman castle. This typical Motte and Bailey castle was built of the local sandstone on a grassy mound above the River Dee for William I. In the early 1800s, Thomas Harrison's design to replace the old castle complex was completed. There is a magnificent gateway said to be inspired by the Temple of Theseus in Athens. This tough neoclassical design contains a military museum and the Crown Courts today. Historically, the port of Chester has always been important. Sadly, due to the continuous silting of the River Dee, large ships can no longer reach the quayside by the late 1600s. On the north-west corner of the city walls stands a round sandstone tower, which was the strong point to protect the city from shipborne attack through the harbour.
This is your captain speaking. There are many other interesting features along the Shropshire Union Canal, one of which is the Roving Bridge at Tower Wharf in Chester. Where the towpath changes sides, turnover or roving bridges had to be built. This enabled the horse to cross the canal without removing the towing rope. This is a shot of Buddy crossing the Roving Bridge at Tower Wharf in Chester.
Shortly, we shall arrive at the Northgate locks. These locks take the boats down 33 feet to give access to the River Dee and North Wales coast, the Manchester Ship Canal, and into the River Mersey, which flows to the Irish Sea. If you would like to, please disembark, and the captain will explain how the lock system works.
This is a view of the Northgate locks. The lock system works by water being conveyed from one level to the other by a series of steel plates hidden below the water, which are known as paddles. Here you see me operating a ground paddle. And once the water in each lock becomes equal, we can then open the gates with ease.
This sandstone arch is one of only 2 remaining medieval gateways. Keeping the walls in good repair has been a constant preoccupation for the city authorities. In the late 1700s, local merchants were very keen to link the port of Chester with other surrounding areas such as Liverpool and the Midlands. In 1772, the Chester Canal Act was enthusiastically supported by the corporation and many leading citizens. The then Mayor of Chester, Henry Vigors, performed the ceremony of cutting the first sod in April 1772. One of the important engineers who worked on the canal was Thomas Telford. This slender arch was built of local coarse red sandstone in 1783. The North Gate up on the right at one time housed the Northgate Jail, and condemned prisoners were allowed to walk across the bridge to the small chapel of St John in the south wing of the Bluecoat Hospital School up on the left-hand side. At one time, tall cast iron railings once flanked the sides of the fort to deter any desperate attempts to escape. One of the cells in the jail was only 4'6" by 17 inches. It was nicknamed Little Ease, and offenders could be put into the cell for several hours. The present Northgate dates to 1810 and was designed by Thomas Harrison. Arches along the canal supported various transport systems which carried goods away from the canal. Horses once pulled the narrow boats, and where the horse went round tight corners, ropes would rub against the canal walls, eventually eroding deep channels. You may also notice some square holes in the sandstone walls. These supported timbers, which were covered with canvas to provide shelter for the navigators, sometimes called navvies. This 69-foot high tower on the right was the northeast angled tower on the city walls, but stripped of its defensive features after the Civil War siege of Chester. It was reused as a meeting room for several of Chester's guilds, such as painters, embroiderers, glaziers and stationers. Their emblem was a phoenix, and the tower became known as the Phoenix Tower. Today it is usually called King Charles's Tower, because King Charles is said to have stood on this tower, where he watched his army being defeated at the Battle of Rowton Moor in 1645. Cow Lane Bridge was so named because at one time cattle were brought over this bridge to the Beast Market nearby. Chester Cathedral is a short distance from this bridge. The Cathedral of Christ and the Blessed Virgin Mary, to give it its full name. The cathedral was established in 1541 after the dissolution of the monasteries by Henry VIII. Most of what you see today is a Victorian restoration by Sir George Gilbert Scott. The Mill Hotel was constructed as a corn mill around 1830 in the traditional style of oak beams and pitch pine, and utilised 32 old cannon barrel stanchions to hold up its 5 floors. Griffiths Mill, as it was once known, had been used as a store and furniture warehouse after the decline of the corn industry. In 1986, the building was purchased by its present owners, and a major project to convert the mill into a 52 ensuite bedroom hotel was undertaken. The first guest being welcomed through the doors in October 1987. The hotel now boasts 129 ensuite bedrooms with broadband and satellite TV, conference room and unrivalled leisure and dining facilities. The hotel has rooms to suit all budgets, offering standard, business, premier and club class, plus the very special champagne room. The hotel is located just 5 minutes walk from Chester City Centre, which offers extensive shopping and entertainment facilities. In 2006, the Lord Mayor opened this delightful park on the canal side. The artistic sculptures are made from mirrored stainless steel and recycled resin-bound blue glass. The whole piece is inspired from the industrial heritage of the area, the Lead Shot Works. In the distance ahead is a Victorian water tower, which after recent refurbishment still supplies water for the city today. The canal through Chester and its linkage to the national network in 1830s were key factors for the industrial growth of the city. The steam mill was the former Milne Seed warehouse. It was the Frost family who originally owned the mill. They were very prominent in Chester's local government. This Grade II listed building was notable for its blown air seed transport system. This is Britain's last remaining lead shot tower. It was built in the year 1800 by Walker's Maltby and Company for the manufacture of lead shot for the British muskets used in the Napoleonic Wars. Lead has been mined in North Wales since the Roman occupation of Chester. The lead would have been melted at the top of the tower, allowed to fall through a colander-like contraption, and then collected in cold water at the base of the tower. Many species of bird can be found along the canal side, and mallard, coots, moorhens and swans swim along between the boats. The canal system is an important wildlife corridor with a wealth of habitat for wildflowers, insects and animals. Over recent years, there have been many new developments along the canal's side. And here, by these apartments, 2 local schools were invited to design sculptures to represent historic boat tillers. When we arrive at the next lock at Hoole Lane, we shall commence our return journey to the Mill Hotel. Then your journey would continue further along the canal, as the next part of our film shows. You'll be able to see many more interesting features, one of which will be the small school where the boat children were educated for 3 days each month. Sit back and relax and enjoy the rest of your Roman high tea cruise.